Cable Bahamas employs over 500 people. Of the 500, how many of them do you think are Bahamian?
About three-quarters.
Okay.
I will say 80%.
I would say all.
All?
I would say about 98%.
98%.
Yes.
I was going about 80%,
80.
so but 98 sounds better.
I'd say 80%.
I think about 95% of them are Bahamian, yes.
What if I told you 99%?
99% of the people is Bahamian?
99%.
That's true?
Excellent.
Yeah? So Cable Bahamas is entirely for the Bahamian people.
That is correct. Cable Bahamas is widely represented by Bahamians.
Well, now you know.
BTC workers ready to take action. This as the opposition leader calls impending BTC layoffs inhumane. Bahamians react to the U.S. gay marriage ruling. Plus, the AG says the gender vote risks being politicized by delays. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Monique Toot and NB12 starts now. As the Bahamas Telecommunications Company prepares to lay off 140 employees next week, President of the Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union, Bernard Evans, says his members are ready to take action and he can't hold them back much longer. Union executives met with hundreds of BTC workers last evening and again this morning to discuss what has been described as a painful and disgusting layoff exercise.
And the trade union movement today is saddened. And I still call on workers today, get ready, because it's not getting any better in this country. When are you going to say enough is enough? When are you going to be ready for this revolution? Because it's going to have to come to send a clear message to any government that is in power that Bahamians are sick and tired of the foolishness.
NCTU General Secretary Jennifer Isaacs-Dotson says the umbrella union's many members stand ready to support BTC workers in whatever action they decide to take. BCPOU executives were informed of plans to lay off 140 BTC employees next week during a near 3-hour meeting with the company's negotiating team yesterday. Union President Bernard Evans says industrial action may take place early next week. After meeting with more than 300 BTC workers last evening and another 100 this morning to discuss impending layoffs, Evans says his members are ready to act now.
Very emotional meeting. Members really was ready to take action. I think they were somewhat, because I personally tried to calm them down pretty much, and because they were ready for action. And I think they were perhaps maybe disappointed that I didn't give them the leeway for us to take action. So.
What are you waiting
on? We heard that from management and from the board itself that they were going to try to make some changes, some improvements to our request. And so I was waiting for words on that and didn't really want, just want to give them the time that they had requested.
Redundancies will occur in outside planning, construction, directory publications, and 2 flagship stores, including the one at the mall at Marathon. MB12 also understands there are redundancies planned for field services in the areas of maintenance and underground cable development, as well as bill printing and the warehouse.
Overall, we're trying to get what's best for our members, all right? But I can't hold them back. I probably only got holding on by a thread and not just be ready to pop. And when it pop, anything can happen.
Evans says BTC CEO Leon Williams told him today the company will honor some of their requests for impacted workers, but union executives want to see it in writing.
They would have an opportunity to for BTC to hold their hands and give them first right of refusal to set up the company, to be able to become entrepreneurs, for them to continue the work they've been doing for over 20 years, in some cases 30 years. We're hopeful that we can get that kind of arrangement. Anything short of that will be unjustified, uncivilized, and I can't vouch They beat me up right now, just holding them back, and I just don't have the strength to hold them back any longer. So,
Senior trustee Hilbert Colley called it a painful process.
Unless and until the Bahamian workers decide that, listen, we are going to unite ourselves together, we will continue to suffer what the employees of BTC is now suffering. And I think this is the most painful experience I have ever had in my working life. We, BCPOU, demonstrate against the government of the Bahamas, who is us. And it seems to me like we are scared of some blue-eyed boys from across the Atlantic.
Third Vice President of the NCTU, Nellarine Harding, says she fears next week's layoff exercise is just the beginning.
After Tuesday, there's going to be another round of layoffs. We don't know if that's going to be another 140. And I said to them in there, I have a philosophy about fair. I said, you may be afraid that you think that you're going to lose your job and you have nothing to fight for, but fair is false evidence appearing to be real. If you don't take a stand and fight now, the rest that's going to come, it's going to be that we're going to have nothing. I implore the Minister of Labor to strengthen redundancy laws.
BTC offered voluntary separation package applications in March. However, in a statement to employees that month, the company said because of the small number of applicants, it would move ahead with reducing staff by redundancies. Avis has called on Prime Minister Perry Christie to intervene. Despite its catchy 2012 election campaign slogan, Isaacs Dotson says the Christie administration has yet to prove it truly believes in Bahamians.
There's no way that we, who supposedly have 51% of the shares in this company, can allow a company to get rid of 140 employees. You know, as I said last night, BTC sponsors Carnival, BTC sponsors Carifta, BTC sponsors IAAF, BTC sponsors everything. When is BTC going to invest in their own human resource capital, which is the most important? When you let go these 140 persons, who's going to do these jobs? Which companies are you bringing in now?
Well, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis today blasted BTC over those planned redundancies, calling the layoffs inhumane and shocking. Minnis also called on the Christie administration to step in. Dana Smith has that angle.
The leader of the opposition said BTC's decision to make 140 employees redundant next week Tuesday is totally inhumane. He called the revelation a bombshell.
I think it came as a shock. The union had said that they had a meeting today, and then a bombshell is dropped tomorrow. That is totally inhumane. No company that wants to survive in this country should do those type of things. There must be a human element.
Voicing his disagreement with BTC's decision, Minnis explained when making individuals redundant, there's a certain way to go about it, including adequately preparing the employees. And noting things are already tough for Bahamians, Minnis said sometimes it's not always about the profit, but the human element.
Should you not sacrifice a little profit to save 140 people's lives? Look at their mortgages, the impact on the kids, the impact on the society. What impact would it have on criminality, crime? These are factors. So you just don't look at money. It's the human element.
Minnis said government, as a 49% owner of BTC, should now step in and see what can be done for the employees. He also called on the Christie administration to advance the liberalization process.
What the government need to do is accelerate the process of liberalization. If you accelerate the process of liberalization and had prepared the individuals for the liberalization, then there'd be a transfer. You would not have had job layoff because the liberalized entity would be able to factor in a lot of the individuals. So the government need to progress and advance the liberalization process.
And taking note of BTC's reported plans to outsource jobs, Minnis added, rather than BTC employees, it's the Prime Minister and his PLP cabinet that should be outsourced. Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Democratic National Alliance leader Banville McCartney says sooner or later, the Bahamas will have no choice but to address the issue of gay marriage. This as the United States Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage is now legal across the U.S. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
After that historic U.S. Supreme Court ruling that saw gay marriage become legal across all U.S. states, DNA leader Brandon McCartney says sooner than later, the conversation of gay marriage must be had in the Bahamas. But he says he, for one, does not support the idea of gay marriage in this country.
And this ruling is a victory for America. This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts.
It is being hailed as one of the biggest rulings ever passed by the U.S. Supreme Court. Same-sex marriage is now legal in every state in America. It's a ruling that will undoubtedly be met with some controversy. Many are now asking, what does this mean for the Bahamas? The conversation somewhat opened up last year when the government was called out for a question on the upcoming constitutional referendum that seeks to end discrimination based on sex. Some, like Marco City MP Greg Moss and even the late Dr. Miles Monroe, warned that it would open the door for gay marriage if passed. And today, Democratic National Alliance leader Brandon McCartney says the time is quickly approaching when lawmakers in the Bahamas and the Caribbean will have a decision to make.
We're part of an international community as a country, and part of the treaties that we've already signed years ago can cause us to submit to those the laws that have just been passed by the United States. We already signed off on certain treaties that talks about equality.
With that said, we asked McCartney, does the DNA support same-sex marriage?
I could speak for Branville McCartney as an individual. I personally do not support gay marriages, but that does not mean that my not supporting it, that I do not respect their views, or I do not show any type of uncaring towards persons with that belief.
McCartney says it's just something he personally does not support, and it's because of his convictions based on the teachings of the Bible. It has been recommended that the words "at birth" be added to question 4 of the referendum rather than just discrimination based on sex. However, members of the Constitutional Commission as well as the government have dubbed it unnecessary. McCartney says he's always believed the question does make way for the possible ushering in of same-sex marriage in the Bahamas, and warned that it could create a problem once put to the people.
If you look at even some of the commercials that come on television today, in the United States commercials, you see where you see gay marriages or couples. Years ago, that would have been taboo. In many European countries and countries around the world, and now in the United States, throughout all states, it's accepted. Legally. So it's something, yes, we will have to address.
Government members are hoping for unanimity in Parliament on the 4 gender equality bills. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Government has not lost sight of its pledge to hold a constitutional referendum on gender equality during this administration's term in office. That's according to Attorney General Allison Maynard Gibson, who told NB12 she'd like to see the gender vote take place before the end of this year. Prime Minister Christie had promised to hold the referendum this month following 3 delays. Maynard Gibson said holding the vote anytime after this year opens that important process up to politics.
Personally, I'd like to see it happen this year. I think it would be a very bad thing for it to drift off into near to the election, because then there is the danger of it becoming politicized. I feel the granddaughter of a suffragette, I feel very strongly about the equality between men and women, and I'm on record since I came back from school in 1980 of criticizing this discrimination in our Constitution. I'm so happy that we are here at this stage. I think we have to handle this very carefully. I don't know when we'll have this opportunity again.
Maynard Gibson said the referendum was postponed again to ensure that Bahamians are properly educated on the issue. She said it would be unfair to ask Bahamians to vote on something they do not fully understand.
But I think that the Bahamian public want to be sure that this matter that is so important to who we are as a people is not politicized. This is a question. I mean, why should we be talking about whether men and women are equal? It's just so obvious, right? Unfortunately, people have been allowed to twist and to insinuate into this whole exercise questions and issues that have nothing to do with the equality between men and women. So it is really, really important that we take the time to ensure that everybody who is going to be called upon to vote on these bills understands what the bills are all about.
The Attorney General said ensuring Bahamians understand the need to change the Constitution to give men and women equal rights is more important than setting a deadline.
To his credit, the Constitutional Commission is continuing to do just that. I don't think that we want to be held to any deadline. We want to be sure that when people go to vote, they know what they're voting for. That's important, and that's what they're doing, and I thank them for it.
Still to come, why taxi drivers protested in downtown Nassau today. The details are after this break.